Hello, welcome, or welcome back. Either way, I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to be doing Devarim, the sixth reading, which is Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 31 through 3:14. Um, we're going through Deuteronomy here, and this is Devarim. Deuteronomy is basically a recap of the previous four books in the Torah. And it was in the third reading that we got introduced into giants. And today we're gonna dig in a little bit more and see about King Og. Just how big might King Og have been? What's a cubit? How long is a cubit? How do you use it? We're going to look into some of that stuff today. At the end of our previous reading, God puts the fear of the Israelite into all the nations, and he sent messengers to King Chesbon, which is where I'm going to pick up in chapter 2, verse 26, just prior to verse 31, where the sixth reading begins. And it says in verse 26, I sent messengers to King Sichon of Heshbon with words of peace, saying, allow me to pass through your land. I will keep to the highway. I will turn neither to the right nor to the left. You will sell me food in exchange for money that I may eat, and you will give me water in exchange for money that I may drink. I will only pass through on foot. Sell me food and drink, just as the descendants of Esau and the Moabites did for me, until I cross the Jordan River into the land that God, our God, is giving us. But King Sichon of Heshbon did not wish to let us pass through his land, for God, your God, caused his spirit to be hardened and his heart to be obstinate, so that he could give him into your hand, and you could thereby possess his land as you do this day. Verse 31, where the sixth reading begins. God then subjugated the Amorites' guardian angel to me, and God said to me, behold, in this way I have begun to deliver Sichon and his land before you. Begin to take possession of it so that you may possess his land. Then Sichon went forth towards us. He did not summon his northern confederate Og, because he was confident of his ability to defeat us on his own, and he and all his people went to war against Yatzah. But God, our God, delivered him to us, and we smote him, his sons, and his entire people, including his son, who was as mighty as he was. The sun miraculously stood still for us in this battle. Verse 34. We conquered all his cities at that time and utterly destroyed every city, men, women, and young children. We left no survivors. We took only the cattle as pillage for ourselves, along with the spoils of the city that we had taken. The spoils taken in this battle more than sufficed for whatever material wealth we could need. From the southern border of this territory, Aroer, which is on the edge of the Arnon Gorge, and the city that was in the gorge, until its northern border, Gilead, there was not even one communal city that was too strong for us. God, our God, gave all of it to us. The only place you did not approach was the land of the Ammonites, namely, all the Ammonite area south of the Jabbok River, the Ammonite cities of the hill country, and wherever else God, our God, commanded us not to conquer. So we just interjection there. King Sichon, he was an Ammonite, and he was the king over Heshbon. So they didn't kill all the Ammonites, just Sichon and his family, and they left the ones that we just mentioned behind. So they didn't kill all the Ammonites. Chapter 3, verse 1. When we turned and went northward toward Bashan, and King Og of Bashan came forth towards us, he and all his people going to war against us at Edrei. I was afraid to wage war against Og, for I thought that he might be protected by merit of having helped Abraham. But God said to me, do not fear him, for I have given him, his entire people, and his land into your hand, and you will do to him as you did to King Sichon of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon. I want to take a look here in Genesis chapter 14, verse 13. We're going to look a little bit more into Og. Genesis 14:13. Og, the sole survivor of the battle between the four kings of the Rephaim, came and told Abram the Hebrew, who was living in the plains of Mamre, the Amorite, let me reread that. Og, the sole survivor of the battle between the four kings and the Rephaim, came and told Abram the Hebrew, who was living in the plains of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Aner, who were Abram's allies. Og hoped that Abram would be killed trying to rescue Lot and that he could marry Sarai. Isn't that interesting? Og had a thing for Sarai. Who'd have guessed it? Here is also, we see here that Og had helped Abram, and it is Abram here at this point, and this is the first mention of Hebrew, of the word Hebrew. Abram the Ivri, Abram the Hebrew. And that means, Ivri means the other sider, or one who came from the east, the other side of the Euphrates River. So just a bit of a tidbit that I would normally point out in the Torah portion, Lech Lecha, but nonetheless, Og had a thing for Sarai. He was trying to help Abram, but he was actually hoping that Abram would get killed and he would be able to then marry Sarai. And Abraham the Hebrew. So that's where we first see that. So as we go back now to Deuteronomy 3:3, we'll pick up there. Thus God our God also delivered King Og of Bashan and his entire people into our hands. We smote him until no remnant remained of him. We conquered all his cities at that time. There was not even one communal city that we did not seize from them. 60 cities, including all the territory of Og's royal palace, which all gathered together constituted the kingdom of Og in Bashan. All these 60 cities were fortified with high walls, double doors, and bolts. Nonetheless, we miraculously overcame them. Besides these, we captured a great many unwalled cities. One thing that's not mentioned here, which I would be interested to find out, is what happened to the floating cities. If you missed the floating cities, you need to go back and catch that. I'll try to link that up at the end. Verse 6, chapter 3, verse 6, we utterly destroyed them as we did to the land of King Sichon of Heshbon, utterly destroying every city, the men, the women, and again the young children as well. Only this time we had taken more than enough spoils for the battle with Sichon. We scorned all the cattle and all the other spoils of the cities, such as clothing, destroying them as well. We only took gold and silver. Thus we took at that time the land out of the rule of the two kings of the Amorites, who were on the other side of Jordan, from the Arnon Brook, and in the south Mount Hermon in the north. Another point here, it was mentioned in a previous portion that we've done here recently about the other side of Jordan. They are on the east side of Jordan. They've not yet crossed over into the promised land, but they already consider themselves as being in the promised land, so that of the east side, that is the other side of Jordan. So they're talking about the other side, but that's the side they're on. Normally you would be on this side and say the other side, but they're going to the other side, but they consider this side, the east side, the other side, because their mindset is already so much so that they're in the land. And you can tell that by this use of the word, the other side of Jordan. Verse 9, the high regard in which the non-Jewish nations held the land of Israel is exemplified in the fact that each insisted on using its own name for Mount Hermon. Some called it Mount Sion. The Sidonians called Mount Hermon Mount Sirion, and the Amorites called it Mount Senir, which means snow. Verse 10, the land of Sichon and Og compromised all the cities of the plain. that Sichon had conquered from Moab, all of Gilead and all of Bashan, as far as Salcah, and included Edrei, one of the two royal cities of Og in Bashan. Og's strength is attested by the fact that only King Og of Bashan was left from the remnant of the Rephaim. All the other Rephaim were wiped out by the alliance of Kedorlaomer at Ashtaroth Karnaim. Og was so large and heavy that he could not sleep in a wooden bed. His bed had to be made of iron. It is not preserved in the city of Rabbah the Amorites, so anyone can go see it. That's a bit confusing. I don't like the way that's written. It should read more along the lines, they're using a double negative in there. It's not preserved in the city, so anyone can go see it. So they're basically saying it's not preserved, so nobody can go see it. It's 9 cubits long and 4 cubits wide. Well, hold on a minute. What's a cubit? Measured not according to the standard cubit, which is an arm's length. So a cubit would be from the elbow, so if I can get this in the video, from the elbow to the tip of the finger, tip of the middle finger. That's a cubit. Now, a standard cubit is generally about 18 inches. So if that's the case, in which case it would have already been quite large, which if you used a standard cubit, it would be about 14 feet long and about 6 feet wide. But it says it's according to the cubit of the man Og himself, whose arm was much longer than the standard cubit. I want to take a minute here just to run a little bit. Let's play a little game of what if. Because we've seen earlier, if a cubit is 18 inches from the elbow to the fingertip of a normal man, what's a normal man? 6 feet tall? I mean, we get some, 5'8", 6'8". 6 feet's about average. 18 inches is an average cubit from the elbow to fingertip. But we also remember where we saw that the Israelites related themselves as grasshoppers compared to the giants when they went to spy out the land. They said, we are as grasshoppers to them. And they said they also know that they were small to the giants because the giants said there's ants in the vineyard that look like people. So I started thinking, let's compare grasshoppers and ants to an average roughly 6-foot person. So if a 6-foot person is standing next to an ant, that is huge. And I mentioned that in the Torah portion that we looked at the other reading. That's huge. So I thought, well, let's play some what if. What if Og was 4 times bigger than the average man? That means that most of the Israelites would probably come up to about Og's knee and come up to the giant's knees. That's still not an ant. It's still not equivalent to a grasshopper, but it's quite a bit. So let's just assume for a minute that the giants were 4 times bigger. Well, if they were 4 times bigger, that means a cubit wasn't 18 inches. A cubit would basically be about 72 inches or 6 feet from the elbow to the tip of the middle finger, which means Og's bed would have been 54 feet by 24 feet. And that's if he was only 4 times bigger than the average human. I think it was probably bigger than that. Maybe somebody knows. If you've done some research and you know how big Og was, or you want to take a speculation or a guess, drop it in the comments. I'd like to get some conversation going here so we can kind of share our experiences and our learning together so we can grow together. Excuse me. Let's see where I left off here. Okay. I'm sorry. Get a little bit lost there. Verse 12. I divided this land which we took possession of at that time, having captured it from Sichon and Og, as follows. I gave the land northward from Aroer, which is the edge of the Arnon brook, and half of Mount Gilead and its cities to the tribes of Reuben and Gad. I gave the rest of Mount Gilead and all of Bashan, the kingdom of Og, to the half tribe of Manasseh. All the territory of Og's royal palace together with all of Bashan. This Bashan is the land that is called the land of Rephaim that God had promised to Abraham. Yair, the great-grandson of Manasseh, went and took all the territory of Og's royal palace and conquered additional territory as far as the boundaries of the Geshurites and the Maacathites. Let me get that right. Maacathites. Maacathites. There you go. This territory included cities and villages. Since Yair was childless, he called the villages of Bashan after his own name, the villages of Yair, as they are known to this day. And that completes our sixth reading. I really like looking into Og. Again, if you've got something that you want to put in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated. Let's get a conversation going. Join us tomorrow when we find out about Moses settling Reuben and Gad and the half tribe of Manasseh, getting them settled, the families settled. Remember, if you remember back, the men had said, if you give us this land on the east side of the Jordan, that we'll go forward and fight with the army until all the land is settled, and then we'll return home. But meanwhile, they got to settle their women and their children and their livestock on the east side of Jordan. So tomorrow we'll see a little bit of that getting settled in. So join us tomorrow for that as we get ready for Shabbat. Most importantly, this is my favorite part. You know the thing. You know the thing. Please like, share, subscribe. I hope you do like it, and I hope you find it worthy enough to share. And if you take the time to subscribe, then you won't miss any further videos and any further learning, which I hope you get a hold of. Again, if you missed the original introduction of the giants back in Deuteronomy, I'm going to try to get that video, and I'll link that. It should link right up here. And if you've not subscribed, please take a moment to subscribe over here. And so either side, have a nice day. God bless.